Moscow sees an actor with shared ambitions. Space agencies from Russia and China have struck a gentleman's agreement to set up camp together on the moon. On the surface, an international scientific lunar station will be set up for research, benefiting all of mankind. But how concerned might the West be with two threats at the heart of what the US considers a warfighting domain?
Space obviously plays a big role in terms of, power projection internationally and being a player, on the big stage. What we're seeing is much more of a move towards the disruption and the denial rather than the destruction of space assets, because it happens, within that sub-threshold area. And we see that happening in other domains. And that's why, certainly in that sense, space is no different. There are so many difficulties when you think about placing a weapon or capability in orbit around the moon, and that's often just the time it takes to travel from the moon back to, for example, geostationary orbit. There's no indication of timeframes of when we might see this happening, no indication of budgets, for example, and how much they might be willing to spend on it. We shouldn't necessarily think that conflict, shooting wars in space are inevitable. So while I think it's a little bit far-fetched to suggest automatically that this would be militarizing the moon or something that we should be too concerned about in that sense. There is that underlying worry.
Back in October, the US Space Force chief warned of evolving threats from Russia and China, which could block access to Allied systems in space.
There are a range of different capabilities that can prevent access to space, to your satellites. So we have on one end, we have kinetic anti-satellite missiles, which destroy a satellite. They create a huge amount of debris, which can then interfere with every satellite in that orbit and in other orbits and last for many, many years. And then a whole range of what we call the non-kinetic capabilities. So cyber attacks, for example, jamming, spoofing of GPS signals, the potential of using lasers to dazzle optical sensors on satellites and essentially blind them for a certain period of time.
The US holds the upper hand in space, but China's rover missions have been met with international applause. As the country flies its colours with Russia, will the West consider shared interests beyond global competition?
Where space is different is in its ability to act as a bridge. Despite space playing this role in, with international politics and economics and national security, we do have precedent of states working together. So we have the International Space Station, where Russia and the US have been partners. We also do need to appreciate the science and exploration in and of itself, and not always automatically place military or national security concerns on all of the activities.
The world waits to see clearer plans for the lunar station, and if tensions on Earth can be left behind. Tom Sables, Forces News.